Hi guys, I'm live. How you guys doing? I just want to do a kind of a nonsense video, but maybe it'll be interesting to somebody. I want to talk about four things, and there's four groups of the same idea. And the four things are the four elements: earth, water, air, and fire. And they relate to three other groups of four. First of all, they relate to, in my book, they relate to four of the techniques of guitar. The main four techniques of guitar relate to the four elements, I have a feeling. First of all, the four techniques, I believe that four categories of technique are legato. That's where you do a lot of left-handed work, but without picking or tapping. And then there's tapping. That's where you do left-handed with right-hand fingering. So you're using two hands to finger. It's called tapping. And the third thing is sweeping. That's when you do, you pick the notes, but it's more consecutive, like string to string. And only basically one note per string most of the time. A lot of times for arpeggios. And the fourth technique is alternate picking. That's where the pick, the left hand works, but the pick really does a lot of work. It picks every note most of the time, and not just one per string sliding around, from string to string, but often multiple notes on the same string and all that. I'd like to discuss how those four techniques each correspond to one of the four elements. First of all, the elements, the earth is the most dense, slow, and dark element, and fire is the most thin, light, and light and quick element. Speed, quick, light, and thinness. And then the other two are in between. So the most thin, the darkest element is earth, and then next is water, and then next is air, and then next is fire. And I think those correspond to the four guitar techniques I just mentioned, where earth would be legato, very, very, very subdued, no picking involved, no tapping, no just left-hand work, very, very passive, very, very, very dark. And then the next one would be tapping. Tapping would be the water. You get it's a little more dense, but not that much because you're not really picking anything. But it's using both hands to finger. And the next would be sweeping. That would be air. Now you really are picking every note, but you're not really digging in on notes that fast together. You're just kind of going across the strings with them, and it's kind of a lighter approach to picking. But you're still picking, so it's heavier than tapping. And then finally, alternate picking corresponds to fire, and that's the quickest, the lightest, the thinnest one, where you're actually picking every note as well as fingering, and you can play many notes on the same string and do very fast articulation with your pick as well as the left hand, the fingering. So that's how I look at the four elements and the four techniques of guitar. And then I also want to add two other groups of four that I think are interesting. The seasons. I think that winter is earth, fall is water, spring is air, and summer is fire. And lastly, in the suits of the tarot card system, I think that pinnacles are earth, cups are water, wands are air, and swords are fire. So I think that's interesting. A lot of things break down into groups of four, including guitar technique, tarot cards, the seasons, and the four elements. So I love you guys. Peace. Rock and roll.